Let's talk about cellular radio technologies. Originally, cellular phones used the Global System for Mobile Communications, or GSM, to make voice calls, and also used GSM as well as the General Packet Radio Service to send data. That's GPRS, and that would send data at 2G speeds through the cellular network. Nowadays, almost everyone around the world can get 3G speeds, or anyone who's really going to be watching this video. And so extensions of those original standards were created. The Universal Mobile Telecommunications System, UMTS, and also EDGE, Enhanced Data Rates for GSM Evolution. Both of those were used to attain 3G speeds. But in a lot of areas in the world, especially in the United States and similar countries, you can get access to 4G and 4G LTE. Those speeds can be attained only when the following is present. The mobile device has to comply with the International Mobile Telecommunications Advanced, or IMT Advanced requirements. The mobile device has to have a 4G antenna, and it has to be in range of a 4G transmitter. You have to have an actual 4G transmitter on a cell tower nearby. However, the fifth generation of cellular, or 5G, is also available and is being deployed as of the recording of this video. And that's known as the ITU IMT 2020 standard, which can boast data transfer rates up to 20 gigabits per second. Now, are you going to get those maximum speeds always? No. It depends on the device, depends on your location, how powerful your device is, how close you are to the cell phone tower, right? So some of the radio technologies that you can have for cellular devices, those are listed here. Now, most devices cannot shut off the cellular antenna by itself unless you shut down the device itself. However, if you need to do that, every device manufactured now is required to have an airplane mode. And that turns off any wireless antenna in the device, including especially disabling the connection to the cellular network. It also disables Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, though you can turn those back on after you turn airplane mode on. Now, some devices can also limit or disable cellular data usage, often known as mobile data, but you don't really turn the cellular antenna off. That radio is turned off when you put it into airplane mode. So a little bit about radio and ID. And there's some other terms that you need to know for the exam. For example, PRL. PRL stands for Preferred Roaming List. This is used by cellular providers that make use of CDMA networks. That's Code Division Multiple Access Networks instead of GSM. So what it is, it's a database that contains information about the provider's radio bands, sub-bands, service provider IDs or identification of those providers, and so on. But if a phone uses GSM, that technology and its radio functions are controlled by a chip and a software package that's collectively referred to as baseband. Baseband updates are necessary, just like PRL updates if you're using CDMA, but baseband updates are necessary to communicate properly with GSM-based cell towers. Baseband is also referred to as radio firmware in that it controls network connectivity for GSM. If a phone doesn't have access to a cell tower, it won't be able to update either of these settings. And so the phone would at that point have to be brought to an authorized service center. And take a look here at this image. We have the status, which is usually within About Phone. We have the status here for this device, and it says network unknown, mobile network type unknown, and most importantly, service state, out of service. This is not connected right now. This is a device that has been taken off of the telecommunication provider network, the cellular provider network, I should say. So mobile network state disconnected. Now that doesn't mean you can't use the device. You could still use it with Wi-Fi. You could use it with Bluetooth and so on. You could send email. You just are not going to be able to do the normal things you would do on a CDMA or a GSM network, whatever this guy is part of. You wouldn't be able to do voice calls and texting, normal texting at least. All right. And also note your signal strength when you take a look at your connection. You want to check that as well. Okay, now here we have another device that is connected to the network. And again, normally this is within the About Phone section. And you see a lot of different information, the phone name, the network type that you can tap on, the status, which includes the IMEI identification, battery, hardware info, software info, and so on. If you do tap on network, you'll get information like this. So this phone is part of T-Mobile. Our signal strength is -101 decibel. Mobile network type, LTE. So we know we're connected to 4G and LTE right now. And in fact, it has a pretty good connection. I've mentioned before, in my lab here, I'm very close to a cell phone tower. Far enough away for it to be safe as far as health concerns, but very close, and so it could get a great signal. And also, it works well as a mobile hotspot since I'm so close. But we're in service and not roaming. We are within service within our regular area. And you also see the IP address information here. So that's a little bit about the network. You want to take a look at all this stuff on your device. See what you're a part of right now. You know, for example, you might go down. You might get downgraded if you're too far from a cell phone tower. You might get downgraded from 4G LTE down to 3G. You might get downgraded to CDMA or GSM. So generally what people are looking for is the fastest connection possible. So that's either going to be 4G, 4G LTE, or 5G nowadays, as of the recording of this video. Now, a couple other acronyms you should know, and this has to do with identification. IMEI and IMSI. These are both identification technologies. IEMI, that stands for International Mobile Station Equipment Identity. And it identifies phones that are using GSM, UMTS, LTE networks, and you can find that ID number in your settings. So for example, we would go on this device, we'd go to our settings, general, about phone, status, and then locate the IMEI. I'm not going to show my exact number, but that's where you'd get to it. On older phones, it's actually printed inside the device near the battery in some cases. So this is used to identify the device. However, the other one, IMSI, that's International Mobile Subscriber Identity, that's used to identify the user. Again, if you're working with GSM or UMTS or LTE networks, this ID is loaded into the SIM card in most cases, that subscriber identity module. That's the SIM card, subscriber identity module. That's that little card that you put in there. We showed that before. That's your identification card. You can't do anything with the phone without it. For CDMA networks, the ID is loaded directly into the phone or to a removable user identity module, which is similar to a SIM card, but SIM cards are going to be the most common out there, especially in the United States. So to learn more, go ahead now and check out these settings and cellular connectivity options on your smartphone. And that's it for this video.